There is no question that the single biggest shift in the Australian workforce over the last 30 years is the engagement of women in the workforce. It's hard to believe now that in the 1950s, the 1960s, women left the workforce when they got married. By women remaining in the workforce, we're seeing stronger education levels. We've upskilled the Australian workforce. The Australian home is richer as a consequence. And it has realised the capacity of generally half the population. Australia is a happier place, a richer place, a more prosperous place as a consequence of that cultural shift that took effect in the 1970s. We are better off as a consequence of everyone putting their shoulder to the wheel, men and women. The three big changes, I think, that will shape the Australian labour market over the next 10 years include the ageing of the workforce. So we'll see baby boomers want to remain in the workforce from 55 to 70, stepping back, working part-time perhaps, coming back as a consultant. I think we'll also see stronger Asian influences, Indian, Chinese influences in the labour market. The Anglo population prefers a flat structure. Typically, Asian cultures are happier with more hierarchy, so we might see more hierarchy in the office layout, and also a shift from unskilled to technical and professionally skilled labour. So upskilling, reskilling, relocating skilled labour is going to be a growth area in the future. One of the factors that I think the ageing of the population will have on the workforce is the OH&S risks. So if you have more workers, nurses for example, or farmers or tradies working in their 50s and 60s, so the risk therefore is of back injuries or muscular and skeletal problems. So we need to configure work to make sure that young bodies are actually doing the hard labour and that at 50, 55, 60 you actually might be back in the office doing something a little different. We need to start targeting skills to different stages in the life cycle to ensure we're not exposing ourselves to OH&S risk and diminishing workers' health over the age of 60. The office of the future, I think, will be a very exciting place, a collaborative place, a Gen Y and a Gen Z place. A place where people come and go, more of a touchdown pad, the idea of having your office as a permanent place, if you like, a gathering place, a meeting place, a little bit like a coffee shop, if you like. You converge on a particular location, you collaborate, and then everyone goes off in their own direction. I think the office of the future will operate 24/7. People want a time shift in the future. If it works for them to come into the office between 10 at night and 2 in the morning, then so be it. So fluid, flexible, mobile, collaborative, these are the themes that I think will drive what the office actually looks like in, say, 2025. I think there is one main attribute that overrides everything else in terms of the office worker or the worker of the future, and that is flexibility. The one thing we can be certain of is if you are a 22-year-old and you're looking at the next 45 to 50 years in the workplace, you will not be in one occupation. You will not require one skill set that you are trained for, 18 through to 22. So the ability to retrain, upskill, the ability to form relationships easily, that job diminished, but this job is opening up. My relationship with that set of people needs to recede. I need to form relationships with other people. Flexibility, fluidity, agility, and a positive, outgoing social demeanour. These, to me, are the skills of the office worker of the future. My view is that the most recent federal budget corrects the direction, if you like. It's recalibrating the trajectory of the Australian economy. The reality is that we are in turbulent times. at a global level with work being outsourced to China. We need to reskill, we need to upskill, we need to invest in infrastructure, we need to invest in education. And I think certainly the broad direction of the most recent budget is correct. It doesn't mean there's not going to be some bumps and bruises along the way, but I think the logic is beyond those bumps and bruises, there is a happier space. And I think that this is a budget that will generally get us to that happier space. But we can't continue with the skills, the workforce, the thinking, the industries that got us to where we are. Those skills belong in the 20th century. We need 20th century skills and industries to continue our prosperity into the 21st century.